Hey guys, in this video we are looking at an integrated development environment. IDEs are a common tool for programmers throughout the world. They weren't always available, but once they were available, people started snagging them pretty quickly because it makes things so much easier to program in. You could actually program Python using simple Notepad or any text editor that you wanted to. But even things as simple as idle enhances your ability to program. Idle is indeed an integrated development environment, but it's just not a really great one. There's a bunch of them out there. If I go out and look at Wikipedia's article about what are integrated development environments, you'll see an overview of what they are and then kind of an interesting matrix. Where'd you go? Comparison of integrated development environments out there. And you can see that there's just tons and tons of these for various different languages. Now, you don't have to use the one I've chosen, but I would like you to start with it. One of the reasons why I chose it is because it works on both Mac and Windows, so it's cross-platform. It works well enough. It's probably not my favorite in the world, but it's pretty good. And it comes with a community edition, so you can get it for free, and you can use it for as long as you want. So it is PyCharm, and it's really easy to get and install. If you click on the link, you'll see a little page about it, and then you can also go out to the company and see more information. Let's see here. I think it's over here on this link here, and that takes you out. Anyway, I've provided a link in the modules on our Canvas website, so you'll find it there also. Now, once you type in the URL, or heck, you just do a search on PyCharm, it should bring you to here. And you can read information about it, but most of the time you just want to download it. When you click on the download button, the one you want is the community edition because it's free. And it's good enough for everything we're going to be doing. You can see that there are a number of other editions. Professional, the community edition, that's a free one. Professional, I have to pay for it. There's also an educational one, which is kind of cool. It's got some built-in tutorials, but they kind of don't follow the tutorials that we're using in class, so you might just want to save that for later if you have extra time on your hands. So community edition is what I want. I'm going to go ahead and download it, and then once it's downloaded, I need to install it. Okay, so here it is, and I'll just right click and run as administrator. Now, there are, obviously I'm going to do the install on my Windows application, but I have provided links in here about installation for the basics install. If you click on that, you'll see that there's information about installing it on Windows and on Mac. So that should help a little bit. The installation process is pretty easy. The one I'm going to do, of course, is my Windows machine. And I do want to associate py files with it. And that's fine. Just let it cook. It's a pretty small program. Got a lot of power, but it doesn't take a lot of room up on your machine. So that should go pretty quickly. You'll have to have Java on your Mac and see the .NET framework on your Windows environment, but both are really common, so chances are that's already done. And I'll just run the community edition. And I've had a previous version on here. I think since you guys haven't, I'll just go ahead and leave it at normal. And I do want to allow access to on a private network. And let's see, the key scheme I really don't care much about. As far as the IDE theme, that's fine. There's some darker or lighter choices that you can choose. I'll just go ahead and use the default. And they do allow you to go ahead and click and see what it's going to look like if you want. The dark one might be a little easier on your eyes, but it doesn't really work well in screenshots sometimes, so I'll go ahead and leave it like it is. Let's see. Yeah, that's just fine. So I'll just say OK. And the way this works is that you make projects for grouping your code files together. So first thing you want to do is you want to make a new project. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in my little Python folder here. So I'm going to go to C drive, Python, class, and I'll make a new folder. Let's see, that looks like a new folder icon. And I'll call it module 03 project. And the interpreter should be your Python exe. You may remember how we had to reference it sometimes to run our code. Well, same thing happens here. This doesn't actually run Python code. It allows you to create Python code, much like idle. When you want to run the code, it's going to send your Python code over to this executable, very much like we learned at the beginning in the first module. And I don't really need the tips right now, so I'll just close that down. There's videos out there on how to use this tool, but at first I think I would just recommend just messing with it a little bit. Next module, I'm going to give you a tutorial to kind of go through and look at, so you can learn a little bit more about how this tool works. For right now, we're just going to do something pretty simple. Okay, so we have a folder, but there's no files in it yet. We need to open a file. So I will right-click, or make a file, I should say, and make a new Python file. I'm right-clicking on the project icon here and say New Python File. And I'll just call it, I don't know, test.py. They'll write a little code for you. If you would, see, I want to zoom in a little bit, so I'm going to change something. I'm going to go to Tools. Give me a second, I gotta remember where this is at in this environment. File, Settings, Appearance, and I want to make it so that there are line numbers. Most people find that kind of handy. Let's see, and I want to be able to zoom in to when I want to look at my code a little larger font. And let's see if I can find my line numbers here. Ooh, I'm pretty sure they're right here somewhere. There we go. Under Editor General Appearance. Now once you set this up, you won't look at it for quite a while, so the line numbers show up here, and then also if I hold down the control button, I can zoom in. Okay, now I just want to go through and do something simple like a print statement to make sure this thing works. And I'll run the code by right-clicking, saying Run Test. And you can see the answer shows up down here. I'm going to go ahead and hold down the control button and roll the mouse wheel. Now, of course, this is in a Windows environment. There are ways of making the fonts bigger and stuff in a Mac. One thing I do recommend is that if you're going to just set the font to a larger size and just leave it like that, make it big. I see people try to troubleshoot all the time code that looks like this. And it's like, really? All you had to do is zoom in. You could actually see the problem. So don't let that be you. Okay, now we've seen how to download it, we've seen how to install it, we've seen how to test it. I think we're good. And the rest of the module, and actually the rest of the class, we'll be using this tool for performing our programming. It's really quite easy. If I go through and I say floating point number 1 equals input, you can see that it can type out some code for you. INT. I see the one I want. Input. Actually, and once it has navigated or popped up a little tooltip that shows me which one I want, I hit enter, and it types in the rest of the code. And this is showing me that the default, I'm entering in a prompt, and the default is none. And you can see that highlights that when I click on it, so I can find it in my code. All these features are pretty nice. I can enter in some data and hit enter, and it brings back the code. Also, you notice that unlike idle, it doesn't just keep getting longer and longer and longer, so you don't have to shut it down. I think you're going to find that yes, this is a complex piece of software and it can do all kinds of cool things, but it's as simple as idle if you just use it the way we're starting off here. And in fact, I just think it's easier in general. So hopefully this makes sense, and go ahead and get it installed and try it out a little bit. Just play with it for a bit and then move on to the next video, in which I guess I better go get that recorded for you. So I'll see you there.